Well, we're excited to be back home. This gym has been good to us, so we're excited to lace them back up and play a very, very talented USD team tomorrow. Spent the past 2 days preparing for them. A phenomenal rebounding team. That's going to be the key to the game. If we can keep them off the glass, they're averaging close to 20 offensive boards a game. That's going to be the biggest key. And just getting back to what we do well. Had a great time in the Bahamas. Didn't get the outcome that we wanted. Played two really good teams in Central Michigan and Tulane. But learned a lot about ourselves while we were there. It was a fantastic experience, but like I said, we're ready to get going and get back home. Got to finish strong in December, finish November and finish in December to get us going into conference play. So we're excited for the opportunity. We talked a lot about getting another opportunity after the loss in the Bahamas, and excited for this one because, like Coach Dutcher said, the game in front of you is always the most important game. So going to learn from the last two and move forward.
Stacey, how do you view that rivalry with USD, and what does it mean to the program?
You know, we've been on the short side of that for the past couple years, so we're taking this very serious, and we need to get after it and compete tomorrow. So it definitely is a rivalry game. They're coached by a great coach. The team plays very hard, and they've been very successful over the past couple years. So we need to get and compete on that level and make sure that we put our best foot forward. And it's very important to the city. I think it's cool for the city to have, and now we're going to get a third Division I team soon, but I think it's cool to play against each other. It's important to the school. It gives us a little sense of pride when we can handle our business and get a win. But it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle tomorrow night, and I think they're ready for the challenge.
Stacey, is it weird to have your team shooting better from beyond the arc than they are on the floor?
Literally just looked at that stats, and I told McKYNZIE, I said, we have to get better at shooting the ball. Those numbers are a little skewed because we've had some games where had an opportunity to play some people just to get some experience. But as good of a shooting team as I believe we could be, we need to fine-tune some things and make sure that shooting percentage goes up. I mean, we're definitely a three-point shooting team, and just the opposite for USD. They don't shoot as many, but very effective in the paint and from the free throw line. So two totally different styles battling each other.
Does a three become a great equalizer, though, if you're short on other aspects of your talent level?
It has for us, and that's not the direction that I completely want to go, but it has been for us in our 3 home games here. But we need to do a better job inside. Our post players challenging them every day to make sure that they finish those easy shots that they're getting in the paint, and making sure we get a shot every time. Making sure that our turnovers are low. So it's something that we need to improve on and focus on, but it has been an equalizer because we're shooting the ball pretty well from the 3.
Coach, last season was, just to put it lightly, a highly problematic season. A lot of losses, things not going well. This season kind of slipped off in the Bahamas a little bit. You guys have really turned it around. So what happened over the offseason and over the course of the season? What's happened?
My juniors became seniors, and we brought in a class of freshmen that are really competitive and talented. So I think the maturity of our leadership and the addition of our freshmen have just made us a more well-rounded team, and we have a long way to go. I mean, they know that. We're getting better every time we have a chance to on the floor, so that's kind of been the focus. But you know, we brought in a really good class, and I think our seniors are really motivated to make sure that we don't repeat the last season.
McKYNZIE, what do you see? What do you see when you're on the floor? Is there more communication? What's going on?
I mean, like Coach Stacey said, it's a big part of it is just buying into it. I mean, like she said, we have freshmen that are able to run and they can sub in for any one of us. So, I mean, our bench is really deep, so that's a good thing to have when we're sitting out. But the communication is better, the hustle on the floor each game. I mean, our hustle has improved. You can just tell that we want to get after it, and I think that'll definitely lead us to more wins than we've had in the past. So it's just a whole different team. We're trying to become more of a transition team as well, so our possessions were really high in the last game of the Bahama tournament, or when we played Central Michigan. So, I mean, we're just trying to have a new identity.
What's it mean to you to play USD tomorrow night?
I mean, it's always the most competitive game, I would say, for our preseason. I mean, like she said, it's like a rivalry team. So, I mean, we just want to be able to beat them this time, and they're a great team. It's focusing on what they're doing, so we have to offense rebound, but it's also focusing on us, making sure we limit our turnovers. So, I mean, I'm excited to play them.
Good to have them in your house.
Yeah, it's good to play them at home finally. I mean, we've always played them away, so we should hopefully have an advantage.
Anything else? Well, just real quick, Taya, your thoughts on the team, where things are at, and what you hope to put out there.
I'm so happy you asked her a question. She was a little nervous about coming up there. You got it.
Well, kind of touching base on what they said, I think practices are really competitive, relating to the freshmen that have come in, and we're also really competitive with the seniors. So there's a big class of seniors, a big class of freshmen, and we're all working really hard to make this season a really good season.
You know, we grew up a lot, just to talk about the Bahamas a little bit, in our Central Michigan game. They're a really talented team, and we gave them everything that they could handle. I was telling the staff, you know, at other schools that I've been at, that's what that NCAA game feels like. Them making shots, us making shots, battling, diving on the floor. It really had that feel early on. So this team has shown a lot of grit, and that's the difference, I think, between this year and last year. In some of our home games, coming from behind to win a couple, playing close games and coming on top. So the Central Michigan and our home games that we played, I think, is really going to help us down the stretch. Not only in non-conference, but in conference. But this team is gritty, and they're going to play hard, and they're going to dive on the floor, and they're going to help each other out, and they're going to share the ball, and we're going to do it together as a unit.
Tia, experience like the Bahamas, does that kind of help you guys grow together, or is that, I mean, how much does that help you guys?
For sure. I think the Bahamas was an amazing trip for us. The 2 L's that we did take, we looked back on, and Central Michigan was an amazing game. Like she said, we fought really, really, really hard, and we prepared for it for a long time. So moving forward from that, I think that we grew from those 2 losses, and we're, like we said, we have to bounce back and figure out what we're going to do tomorrow.
I will say this too, the Bahama trip, I'm so grateful for our administration to allow us to do something like that. It was bigger than just the games. It was a fantastic tournament, very well run. But I think what we'll take from it, obviously the learning on the basketball court, but we had such a good time with the people. And when I can expose our young ladies to stuff like that, experiencing other things like that, then I know that they're growing in so many other areas than just on the basketball court. We had such a good time just in the city. And I think probably that's one of the memories that they'll take with them, is all those young kids running up to them and treating them like rock stars, and taking the pictures and getting to know them and coming to the game. And I just... Say it again?
Cheering for us.
I mean, it was just a really great experience. And again, I know my job is to win games, but I'm also tasked to make sure these young women have fantastic experiences and grow as young women. And I definitely think we did that in that trip.
A little bit different than going to Laramie in January?
Yeah.
We definitely go back to the Bahamas before we go back to Laramie.
Yeah.
What happened?
The travel's about the same. No, I'm kidding.
What happened in Tulane? Is that your second game, run out of gas, 2 nights, things like that?
I think that's exactly it. We were such, it was such an emotional game and drain. I mean, there were tears, there was frustration. I mean, it felt like an NCAA game, it really did. And I was nervous that there was going to be some hangover. And we tried to get them up going and rallied, but we played a lot of minutes. The majority of our team played a lot of minutes, and it was just tough to get them back up. And that's a huge area where we need to grow in, because these games are going to start coming faster and faster, and we got to move on to the next one. And our goal is to be in the tournament, and we're going to have to play quick turnaround games, so we got to get better at that. But it definitely was a emotional game.